Hello, hello. Today is February 8th, 2023, and the word of the day is love. So, of course, we know different kinds of love, right? Like there's a love that you have for your partner, there is a love that you have for your family, there's a love that you have for your children. There's a love that you have for your clients. There's a love that you have for your house, your things, if you will. But the one love that I really want to talk about today is a love that is indescribable and you have yet to experience. And this is kind of like a sensitive topic for me to discuss. However, I think it's really pertinent to today's word of the day. And that is, I used to think love was something else than what I experienced it to be. And when I experienced love truly, I realized the power of love. And we already know that on I want to say the Richter scale, but that's not it. On the scale of frequencies and energies, we know that love measures about 500, which is a high frequency. And enlightenment is about 1,000. And so that gap between love and enlightenment is joy and bliss. Bliss to me is like probably like bliss, I think, is 1,000. And maybe it is the state of enlightenment. What is the emotion associated with enlightenment? I would say bliss. And in my life, I really truly experienced bliss. So even though I experienced love, what I thought was love was not love. And what I realized is like I had to change my whole perspective about what love is and what love isn't. And sometimes it doesn't look like the world's view of love. So for me, love is telling you the truth from my intuitive perspective, from my psychic abilities, from my spiritual abilities. You may not want to hear it. You may not want to see it, right? But in order for me to be in integrity with love, I have to share my perspective. Now, what I learned is that not all people are open to hearing the truth and receiving the love that may come through you. And so, what I've done is I've watered down my message because at that point, other people weren't receptive to what I knew to be true, which is the way that I love. So we each have a way that we love. And so, what is your method of love? Maybe your method of love is compliments. You compliment people. You tell them how wonderful they look or appreciate things about them. And it's not that I don't do that. And that's another thing. I do give words of affirmation and love, But unless a person's receptive to them, they can see you as skeptical. They can take them as like they're skeptics. So they don't receive the compliments that you're giving them and the love that you're showering them with. And those make for very difficult relationships because the flow of love cannot be exchanged. And I'm sure you have been in situations where other people were offering you love and you just couldn't take it. You could not receive it. So being self-aware of where we're unable to receive love. Another way that I see love is through money. It is said that money and love have the same frequency and energy. And so, and it's the way that I show love. Let's say somebody has something that they want to sell, and if I have the money, I love to buy. I love to put my mouth, how do they say that? Put your put your word where your mouth is. You know what I'm trying to say. And it's been something that's been very easy for me to do, is to invest in other people financially. In fact, for a long period of my life, for a very long time, I really never said no to anybody. And I was over generous because I felt like money came so easy to me that I wanted to bless other people, which I thought it wasn't so easy for them to receive money. And what I learned is when I actually turned it around to where I started asking for things from different people, what I found is it wasn't reciprocated. And that pissed me off to like no limit. Because let me move out of the sun here. Because for the longest time, I never really needed. And I always had, and I always have been able to generate whatever it is that I wanted. And that really threw me for a loop. And so I stopped being loving. I shut off my love. And I'm sharing this story because I feel that stories really help us see ourselves in another person. And when we're vulnerable and we share the truth, we're sharing love as well. And so in your life, where have you shut off your connection with love? And maybe you've never known like a supernatural love. I have experienced a supernatural love that it caused me to lose desire in the 3D world. I lost complete interest in the world. I kind of like entered this door, this channel of love. And I became so mesmerized by the love. And I'm feeling into it now because I want you to feel it. And I know also that experience changes people. You know, words can change, help people change if they do the work. However, the greatest change we can have is through experience. And how do we experience things? We feel them, right? They change us. Experiences change us. We feel them, we internalize them, we process them, and we have a view of something. And so once I tuned into this love through a miracle, to be honest, it was miraculous. And I couldn't go back to how I knew the world, but I didn't know how to go forward with the love that I had experienced that had transformed my entire reality. And all I wanted to do was share this message, this experience with everyone else, because I believed, and still believe that when you experience this love personally, you will have your own conviction and your own power to see things your way, not how somebody wants you to see something or believe something. Because once you know, you know, you know, and no one can take that away from you. And once you are connected to that love, that power of love, you will not seek outside of yourself to be loved by another person. You will seek mirrors for love, but your connection to your source is your channel to love. It's where you get your love from. And no one can love you more than they can love themselves. So if they're not tuned into this loving power, this loving spirit, they are not getting filled up to pour into you. And so you can pour into people with the love that you have, but you have to be sourced, right? We have to be sourced. So where are you getting your source from? And so if you're not sourcing love, you're kind of depending on other people to lift you up or encourage you or whatever it is. But when you're getting sourced by this love, what happens is everything is extra. And everyone can only meet you at that level, and there's an exchange of love. They're not giving you anything. It's just like you're sharing your love with them and they're sharing their love with you. And that is a truly healthy connection. And the love grows right from there. But love is active. It's an active connection. It's an active, it's being love, and then it's doing love. And then you experience love in your 3D reality, in your human reality of what you believe to be love. Now, everybody sees love through their own lens. And I'm sure you've heard of the book, The 5 Languages of Love. Like, right, some people, find that if you Spend quality time with them. That's love. If you do chores for them, help them out, help them move, do things around the house, that's love. Some people, their basic mode of love is physical touch. They like to be hugged, caressed, touched, their hair, whatever, right? Some people, their language of love is communication, talking, communicating, compliments, words of affirmation. Some people, their language of love is gifts and money. And so, what is your love language? How do you communicate your love to the people around you? It's not about giving them your way. It's about what do they need? What is the combination here? The power in your love is in knowing what they feel their love language is. And tuning into that and giving them what they need, right, and want in order to feel loved. Now, that's like the human love. But the spiritual love, you have to cultivate that for yourself. And the way you're going to experience this love is going to be unique to you. And it's going to be unique to how you share it in the world. So like earlier I said, like my way that I share love is speaking the truth. I love seeing the truth because it's freedom. And I know from my personal experience of love, when I experienced this miraculous awakening to this love that dwells within me, which I never even knew existed, I really never knew that love existed within me. In fact, when I discovered this love that existed within me, I was scared to tell people because I didn't believe they would believe me. And I was shown things that freaked me out, basically, because of my belief systems at the time and where I was at. I was in a whole different mentality. Let's just put it that way. And so what I saw, there's like multi levels to this, but I will try to explain them to the best of my ability. The first level is I ask this presence, this inner love of mine. Why did the things that happened to me happen to me? And I started getting answers. And I continued to ask. And it seemed as though we had a good dialogue, an excellent dialogue going, because this love could get through to me. I was not a person that you could get through to before that had happened. I believed a certain way and no one was changing my mind. I was very stubborn and set in my ways. And I started to understand and I started to soften and I started to heal. Like my heart started to heal, my soul started to heal, my perspective about life started to heal. Another thing that I experienced with this love is I became highly psychic. I remember, I'll just bring up this example. I remember this girl, she was suffering from cancer. And she was going through the doctors and you know, getting the treatments that she needed. And I remember looking at her and listening to her dialogue, like what was going on through her head. And as I was listening, I was correcting her thoughts energetically through love because I was holding space. So we can hold space for someone if you have this gift to really heal in the present moment. I realized that I had the gift of healing. And I really, again, it's like I was in this love and I was moving forward in my life, but I kind of got mesmerized by it that I didn't question it. I was just like, okay, I'm going into this relationship to get to know a power greater than I, and I'm going to give it a chance and see if it's real, like what everybody says. And if it's not real, then I'm checking out of this planet. I have no desire to be here any longer. And so, as I was strengthening, sourcing this relationship, I was going out in my day and coming across all kinds of things, and I was seeing all kinds of things because I was really cultivating this relationship. And one of the things that I also saw, like I have visual, I can see things on people, like their thought forms that are keeping them in shackles, that are cages over them. And they're listening to these voices and they're living out their lives as if these voices are truth. And they may awaken one day that these voices are not true, but who knows? And so, in this experience of love, what I call love, bliss, enlightenment, if you will, I also saw this need and this urge to wake people up who are basically what I would call sleepwalking. But the whole thing is they don't know they're sleepwalking. And so, how do you wake up somebody who thinks they're awake because they are living their daily life, doing things? So, I had a lot of work ahead of me. And I was trying to connect all these things that were being revealed to me. And I spent many years trying to understand what had happened to me. And I mean, I have many degrees and certificates and things in search of what had happened. How could I enter this vortex of pure love and bliss organically without knowing anything about meditation, without knowing anything about religions, really, like Christianity? I grew up in a Muslim environment. So Christian and Jesus, like, uh, God lives within you was not part of my reality. Didn't even know that even existed. Didn't even know anything about Jesus other than he was a prophet and that he didn't finish his message according to Islam. And there's a lot of other things that were revealed to me at that time that I really kind of like scared me, like, because again, I come from a Middle Eastern background and I'm a woman. And for me to have this power that lives within me to where I no longer need to be manipulated or could be manipulated or could be deceived, and that I could create my own reality and I can show people how to be free and create their own reality from the deceptions of the world when I was not even in a place of power. So you could see how I was so disempowered. I was in an arranged marriage and I had all this knowledge drop into me, all this knowing about who I am, my power, my gifts and talents that are unrecognizable by the identity that I was led to believe I was. And so with this love is power. And the one thing that stood out to me the most out of this whole thing, like, I mean, all those other things are important, but what really stood out to me was we really don't know that we are truly loved. And what would happen if we actually believed, knew that we were truly loved, like we experience it on a daily basis. It's part of our reality. We feel it to the core of us. We are really loved. And so my whole mission, my whole purpose had become, is part of my purpose and mission is how do I get people to experience the love that is their birthright, that is the truth, that frees them from any kind of oppression, any kind of deception, any kind of poverty. From depending on another person for their own answers when they can get their own answers within themselves, and just like that, for them to be in their true power. So I got to move this way because the sun's coming this way now. And that has been my journey with love. And there's so much to this word love that people toss around. Yet, if you have not really truly touched the energy of love, you have an amazing thing coming. And I hope that in your lifetime that you can tap into that energy and into that frequency and lock it in and milk it as long as you want, because it is there for you. It's your inherent birthright to feel loved, to be so full of love, to be so in love with yourself. And what happened to me is I became so mesmerized by this presence of love that I lost track of who I was, like as a person, as an identity, like, the persona, of who you think you are growing up or who people see you as. That what happened with me is I went into this presence, and what happened is this presence started, like, it started washing me, if you will, because I started healing as well of a lot of traumas, a lot of questions. There's, like I said, there's many dynamics to this love. And because of its beauty, I fell in love with this presence. And what happened is when I fell in love with this presence, I realized I fell in love with myself. And I realized that this presence and I were one. And I could tap into it and wash myself, if you will, with anything that I took on from other people. And that's one thing that, like, I've had to learn is not taking on other people's energy, because I have the ability to go into that space and wash, like, the non-love, anything that's not of love, right? Sadness, poverty, lack. So one of my gifts is to be able to hold somebody in a space of love until they see themselves as they truly are. That's the gift that I know how to do, because I've been there, done that. I've gotten there. And so what I realized, it wasn't also healthy for me to do that for people, because it stemmed from a belief that they didn't have the ability to do it themselves. Now, every person that has a desire and a willingness can do it. Does everybody want to do it? No. It's just not cut out for them right now in this lifetime. And it became my job to source myself with this love and become the best version of me in that day, always evolving, because this love, there's no end to it. It's like you can continue to evolve and reach higher states of consciousness, of love, of bliss, of joy. And there's no limit, of abundance, of wealth, of prosperity, of healing. It's just, how far do you want to take it? Because this love is infinite and it's limitless. And it is a vortex all by itself. And when you start to tap into it, you will start to be changed in a way that you will not recognize the old you, or who you thought you were, who you led yourself to believe you were. And then you're like, holy Lord, who am I? And that becomes the mystery. The mystery of love. You are a mystery because love on its highest level is a mystery. It can never be put in a box. It can never be caught. It can only be experienced. And I'm trying to move out of the light here. So let's see, move a little bit more. It can only be experienced. But once you experience it, now I know different. You know, my first time around, I lost interest in the world because what happens is when I became one with this presence of love, what I realized is nothing could quench my soul, my heart, anything. Nothing was even closely comparable to quenching this balm that my soul needed, that I didn't even know I needed. I just knew it was parched, but I didn't know how to get it from things, from people. And I found it. And once I found it, it's the only thing that I've ever wanted, that I truly lost the desire for the 3D realm. In fact, I had to go to therapy because I had no desire to go to school. I had no desire to get a job. I was obsessed with this love that I had found, that I had discovered within me. So I had to learn how to live life again. And I went on to get a job, to get an education, to get all these degrees and certificates. And they have brought me back to the 3D world, like the human reality. However, they've never quenched my spiritual reality. And to me, the spiritual reality is where we get quenched, and the material reality is supplemental to that, right? It just reflects that too, of how we want to reflect what we see as love. And that, my friends, is self-mastery. Mastering your true identity. But you cannot master your true identity unless you're plugged in, unless you're connecting in. And finding a way to do that is your key. And practice is also required because we are still living in an unconscious world where there's a lot of fear. And none of us are immune to that. But the more we practice whatever thing that allows us to connect with the love that is within us, it's almost like you build a buffer, right? You build a buffer. So you have this love, this truth, this joy, this bliss. And so you attract different things into your life, people on that frequency, on that level. And there's different mountains, so to speak, to conquer. You're seeking even a higher level of consciousness of this love within you. So it's never ending, but it's really a journey that I'm so grateful and thankful that I discovered this in my lifetime, or else I would have been one of those people that lived her whole life unconscious of this love. And so for me, it's been a journey of understanding what I had experienced, number one, because even when I went to therapy, they were like, well, what are you talking about? But today, in our society, like being conscious and awake and enlightened, and the stuff that I talk to you about here is prime in today's atmosphere, if you will. And my journey has been, how do I remain connected to this? How do I support other people in awakening to this love that works instantly? It's not like if you want something, it takes a while. It's like, I would describe it as a genie in the bottle. Like, your wish is my command. And so manifestation becomes, to be honest with you, boring, because you realize you can manifest anything with this genie in the bottle. But you'd miss out on so many wonderful things, like the frequency and energy of love, of joy, of bliss, of being on purpose, because it's guaranteed that you're going to have all the things. That's just a given. But how do you want to feel in your life as you have all these things? What kind of life do you want to have, knowing that you can have all the things? How do you want to feel? How do you want to make other people feel? What do you want to do with your life? What difference do you want to make in the time that you're here? I've already made my decision on my impact and what I'm here to do. And that's why I would say, like, I'm a good guide for people who do not know their purpose and to discover who they truly are, and in an organic kind of way, because mine happened organically. I didn't go to school to become awakened. There's awakening schools. I awakened all on myself, all by myself. Now, I'm not saying that your way of awakening needs to happen that way, but mine did. And so the way I teach, or the way I speak, or the way I view the world is very raw. It's very organic. It's not something like a program that somebody put in my head and was like, oh, this is what love is. No, I had a direct experience. And to me, direct experience is the only experience that is real. Otherwise, you're copying and you're replicating, you're just mimicking what another person is saying what something is, but you don't have a direct experience. And that is the weakest position you could ever be in. But the most powerful position you could ever be in is to come in direct experience with the love that is you. Then nobody could tell you anything. You'll just, it's like control, manipulation, dishonesty, like, next, you're wasting my time. Now, how do I detach from you and get you out of my energetic field? Because you're way, way, way not even close. And there's people that you will choose to love because of who they are. They have great morals, even though they have never touched this love that I'm talking about. And they may never awaken. But some people are just really unconscious and they're very abusive. They're just programmed by so many other people of what success, how to become successful, how to do this, how to do that. They've never really tapped into their own unfolding of what success is. You can only do that by being connected to yourself. And I'm not saying that those other modalities don't work. They may work for you and many other people, but that's not what I'm here for. That's not my modality. And I'm not saying I don't learn from other people, but I'm conscious of what containers I put myself in and where I place myself. Just because somebody wants me to belong doesn't mean that I accept the belonging that they want to create for me. I've got to see if this is really the right place for me. Is this the place where I can be successful? Is this a place where I can be truly me? Is this a place where I can receive the love that I need in order to be the person that I am called to be? And that's another thing when you touch this love, you don't take BS. Like you're like, okay, like, let's just say I'm talking about a program. This person has like this kind of program, this person has this kind of program, and you're like, I know like my standard of love. And you're not even like touching on it. So like your standards of like what you will accept in your life and what you will not accept also changes because you realize how much you're so loved and how you deserve the best of the best. And if someone's not bringing you the best of the best, then you're going to find the people that will bring you the best of the best. And they are out there. They are out there. You might need to be patient. You might need to find them. You might need to look, but you're not going to settle. And I've done this my whole life ever since that happened to me. I never settled on anything that is less than what I believed to be the best of the best and of the highest standard and excellent. And that was a perfect fit and match for me and my next level of unfolding. And so I encourage you just maybe through me and my experiences to not settle for mediocre because you deserve the best and you are so loved. And I've been talking for like 50 minutes here. This is the longest video in the history of me making videos until you're able to tune in and lock into that frequency of love and channel, be in communion, if you will, with this love and grow your love muscles and get stronger in choosing from that place. You deserve nothing but the best. And if you've settled and thought that it wasn't out there, it's not the truth. And it's possible for you to heal quickly, to be the person that you're here to be. I don't care what your age is. You know, age is such an illusion. You know, society tells us all kinds of things about age, gender, color, like you name it. And it's all lies. It's never too late. And it's possible. And I know that it is because I'm living it. And that is why I choose to show these videos, because I'm going to show you my life. I mean, I've already been showing you my life, what it was. I'm showing you what it is, but I want to show you what it's going to become. Because I felt that I wanted to bring you along on my journey. And some of you know me like in person. So you know my story and my journey. Because I wanted to show you through my example, if you will, that when you're connected to this love and you're moving in this love and you're making choices, how your path will be made clear to you. And that's another thing. You're the only one who can see the path. Like you can get support. And what I want to encourage you also to do is if you believe something is true for you, please don't believe it. I wanted to say a bad word. Please don't believe an expert who you think is more knowledgeable. Trust yourself. It's a mistake that I made where I thought somebody had more knowledge than me. So I'm not going to like, maybe I'm wrong. If you have something in you that you know is true, be around people who are going to support that. And if you can't find anybody, at least believe in it for yourself, because it wouldn't be there if this love spirit didn't put it in your heart, in your core, in your body for you to manifest it. Okay, I've talked about 54 minutes, so I'm thinking I must close this because this is really long. And I hope that you enjoyed this video about me speaking about love and the different dimensionalities of love. And I mean, I don't know if I want to give you homework. I think listening to this video is so much homework and so much to contemplate and process, not only like mentally, but even energetically, because I feel that I keep moving over and over for the sun and it keeps following me. But so much to process and embody, because also as I'm sharing energetically, I'm sharing energy with you. I'm sharing love energy through me, and it's going into your screen as you're watching, and it's changing you. And that's another thing. It's like once you touch this presence, everything about you becomes laced with this presence. So no one can come across you visually, verbally, on video without this love being exchanged. You carry almost like a weight of it always in your, it is like embedded in your DNA, and it's active and it's alive, and no one can turn that off because it's like it's stuck there. It sticks to you like glue. Once you know it, once you experience it, you can't go back. And it's exactly where I'm headed. Is my intention is to cross that threshold again, because what happened is I came back because I was like, holy Lord, like this place is so loving, but the world looks like this. But what I'm doing now is I'm crossing over, like I've grown enough to where I'm crossing over into this field of love, but I have my human experience. So I know what's actually going on over here, because when you go into this field of love, you really start seeing life from that perspective. But in order to be on the third D realm, you've got to be able to see the human condition and how to relate to it and do the work that you're here to do. And so I guess how I see this at this point is like I needed to go through all of that in order to get to this point and say, you know what, I'm willing to go back to this state of divinity, if you will, in my 3D condition, but also remember and know what people experience. So I'm not so cold to them as they are crossing the veil, if you will. They're coming over to the other side. And it's a journey. And so based on yesterday's intentions and willingness, so I'm going to say this. I mean, I've already made the decision that that's where I'm going. I'm wanting to say my intention is to become willing to step into that field permanently. Moving forward from today, I'm saying it live here on the video. What's the date today? February 8th? I said it at the beginning of the video, but I don't remember it now. So today is February 8th, 2023 is when I said this, where I intend to be willing to go completely to the other side of love and dwell in that, and that be my home moving forward. So just wanted to state that before I logged off. This message was 1 hour long in 23 seconds. In 20 seconds, it'll be 1 hour, is what I'm saying. So I hope this was loving fuel for you. And if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the notes, and feel free to share about your experiences with love, supernatural experiences. And I will look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Bye.